Hello and welcome to the channel. Incredibly excited to be speaking to you today about the Meepo Hurricane, a board that in many ways is helping to set the standard for where electric skateboards are headed to in the near future. Now, of course, we're going to go through all of the things that we normally discuss in a video so you can make an educated decision as to whether or not this is the right board for you. And of course, we'll have one of my favorite sections of my reviews, the Nitpick section, where I share things that I think consumers should be aware about before making a purchase. Meepo in many ways has really upped their game as it relates to the look and the feel of their boards. And the Meepo Hurricane is no different whatsoever. The deck of this board is composed of T700 carbon fiber design. And this is not just a carbon fiber design of a board. It looks absolutely amazing. It's one of the things that when you look at it, it just reminds you that Meepo is really trying to head in the right direction of making their boards look like premium products and providing a lot of value. When you look at this deck, you're going to notice that it is very well designed. Everything is very smooth. Looks like a lot of attention to detail went into it. Really has a premium look and feel. Even when you just kind of rub along the bottom of the enclosure, everything just feels really well put together. In addition to the aesthetics and how well put together things look, you're going to also observe and notice that the battery and the ESC are encased within the deck itself, which is pretty solid because it kind of helps with waterproofing and things like that. Then it just also kind of goes with the slimline look of the actual deck itself. As a result, of course, this deck is going to be on the stiffer side. When looking at the deck from the top, you're going to see Meepo's logo, which is pretty large, but it doesn't look too bad. And I think some of that has to deal with just the color scheming that they did. Everything matches and looks appropriate. It matches the orange on the trucks. The logo is orange. The wheels that you can get in additional cost are orange. So you can just tell that Meepo put a lot of attention to detail to the aesthetics, how things look, and just really trying to help the individuals who purchase this board understand that they're getting somewhat of a premium experience when they purchase this board. One of the things that I enjoy most about top of this deck, or just the deck itself, is the texture of this grip tape. This texture is incredibly aggressive, and it needs to be because the board has a lot of power and acceleration, so you're going to need as many contact points as you can get when riding this board. The outer edges of the deck actually flare up as well, which is great for helping you maintain control when carving or riding aggressively. Overall, I would have to say that the deck not only looks good, but it feels good when riding this board. Definitely showcasing that Meepo is just trying to take things to a whole nother level. One of the components about this board that has people really excited is the battery setup on this board. It ships with 48 Molicel P42A batteries in a 12S 4P configuration. And a lot of brands are starting to go this way with the Molicel batteries for a couple of different reasons. Because of the balance of price and the harsh discharge rates that these batteries actually afford riders to have. So what does that mean for you? That means higher top speeds. That means more aggression. That means greater hill climbing capabilities. And it also means that for heavier riders, more range. So I definitely enjoy this battery setup that they're putting here. Now, I did not get a chance to do a range test on the board because, to be honest, I was just having a good time on the board. I had the AT set up one day, had the street wheel set up another day, and just was really trying to capture what it feels like to ride this board. But what I can say to you is that having ridden the board with the AT setup and then also the street wheels, riding up some hills and things like that, I've been pretty impressed with the range that I've been able to experience thus far. One of my favorite components about this board, and it may be one of the components that a lot of people don't give too much attention to, is this board's ESC. They're utilizing a LiveFox 70 ESC, and to be honest about it, this is the most refined ESC that Meepo has ever placed in any of their boards. I don't know what they did different because it's even more refined and smoother than the ESC that they had in the V4, which is amazing in the V4. If you're familiar with Meepo, you'll know that they always provided so much value and performance for the price point, but many often had complaints about the smoothness of the electronic speed controller because it was just a little bit jerkier than what you would typically feel when riding a board that had the Hobby Wing ESC. I'm here to tell you guys that this ESC is so smooth that it's really on par with the Hobby Wing ESC. Meepo really knocked it out of the park with this ESC, and it's one of the most favorite components on this board to me, because I like it when I'm riding my boards where the inputs and the outputs are just predictable. It allows you to have a comfort level on the board to just have a good time, and Meepo did a great job with this. The other thing that's pretty cool is that this ESC provides 70 amps, which of course means lots of acceleration, lots of torque, great hill climbing capability. So another component with this board that Meepo just did an outstanding job with this board. Now the motors and the power and the torque and acceleration that we can get from this board is very impressive. It's so impressive that Meepo, when they participated in some skateboard games where they were actually racing against other brands, they actually walked away victorious in a couple of different categories. And that's because this board has two 3,500 watt motors with 15:5 gear ratios. And what that means is that the acceleration and all of those things are going to be at a high level. Now, when I knew that this board was coming to me, I had heard how impressive this board was. So of course I was just like, can't wait to see it for myself, because as a heavier rider, I sometimes don't get the same experiences as what other people say out there when I get my boards. But I'm happy to report that this board is just living up to the expectations like nobody's business. Took this board on several hill climbing tests, and the board is just climbing the hills absolutely ridiculously, especially utilizing the street wheels. I mean, it's a monster with the AT wheels, but when you put those 90mm street wheels on there, the board just wants to snatch your ankles off. It's really impressive and fun at the same time. In addition to that, the acceleration on this board is incredibly impressive. It's probably the most powerful board that I have in my arsenal at the house, and it's probably not even close. So very impressive stuff right there. One of the things that just kind of really stood out to me was the difference in the acceleration and torque and such when using the street wheels. And I guess it shouldn't be so much of a difference, because of course with the smaller street wheels, the circumference of the wheel is smaller, so the wheel gets to move a little bit quicker, has a little bit more torque, but it just really increases what you can do with the board to just such a high level that it's just really impressive stuff right there. So overall, when you talk about the performance from an acceleration standpoint, when you talk about climbing hills, it's very impressive stuff. Now, I didn't get a chance to do a top speed test on this board, and it's for a couple of different reasons, but I'll mention a little bit more of that in the nitpick section. Now, Meepo has a pretty high stated top speed on this board, and to be honest about it, I have no doubts that the board can achieve that and then some. I know that of some people who have put different gearing on the board, and they're getting even higher top speeds and such. So when you talk about top speed and stuff like that, this board has some of that and then some. As I alluded to a little bit earlier, this board of course shifts with the AT wheels, but you can also elect the combo pack, which allows you to get the board with the AT wheels as well as with the 90mm street wheels. Meepo also just announced that they're putting out some rubberized wheels. I think they're about 110mm as well. As I alluded to a little bit earlier, the board has crazy torque and acceleration with either set of the wheels, but it's really pronounced when you put on the street wheels, which is very impressive. Good stuff right there. One of the things I just have to mention that I was a little bit surprised when I was switching out the AT wheels to the street wheels. Typically speaking, when I've done this on other boards, I have to adjust the motor mounts so that the belt tension is according to the wheel options that I'm actually placing on the board. I didn't have to do that with this because Meepo provided two sets of belts. You have the belts for the AT wheels that came on the board, and they provided a different size belt for when you wanted to put on the 90mm wheels. And what that meant was I didn't have to adjust the motor mounts or anything like that. All I had to do was take the wheels off, put the new pulley on, put the smaller wheel on, and I was done with it. Really made the process of switching the wheels very, very quick. Definitely think this is something that other brands should adopt as well, because just adjusting the motor mounts and stuff like that, it takes more time to do that than to swap out the wheels. So really enjoyed that as well. And of course, because Meepo is utilizing pulleys that are standard to the industry, you can use a whole host of other wheels. Personally, I think that the 90 millimeter wheels are a little bit too small to my liking. Now, I know some people are going to love it, but me, I would have loved to maybe seen like a 96 millimeter wheel or even a little bit larger. So next time you see me rolling around, I'm probably going to have a larger set of street wheels on there, not just a 90 millimeter wheels. But overall, I like that Meepo is providing these options, and then they just released a whole new brand set of wheels that are coming out that are kind of rubberized. It look like they're going to be absolutely amazing. To me, I can just see them looking great on this particular board as well. And this is going to take me into my favorite section of my reviews, which is my nitpick section. As I mentioned before, there are times that you get boards that things are just done so well on the board that there just is not a whole lot to nitpick. And honestly, this board is doing so many different things well that it's really hard to kind of find faults and things wrong with the board. Even so, I was able to kind of pull out one thing for you guys that I think you should be aware about and know about as it relates to this board. This board has a ridiculously high top speed and ridiculous acceleration curves. And that is an amazing thing for a lot of people, because as the sport grows, as we become more accustomed to these e-skate vehicles, we're wanting these companies to constantly evolve and grow. We want to see those higher top speeds. We want to see more torque and acceleration. We want to see more range. And Meepo gave us a lot of those things there. But the one thing that just kind of blows my mind, and this is not even a nitpick for just Meepo, it's just a thought in general. I don't understand why board companies make these super fast boards with double kingpin trucks. Now, I know that there's some people out there, you guys are crazy and you love your double kingpin trucks and you don't mind doing your 35 miles an hour on double kingpin trucks. Personally, it's just not something that I feel comfortable doing. And I'm sharing this because it makes me just think about, like, Meepo, if you're listening, if you watch the review, I would love for you guys to take all of the hardware that you put on this board and put it on the board for us that has the reverse kingpin setup that we've become accustomed to on just regular skateboards. Because I think people would really be able to just go all in and just utilize all of the top speed, all of the acceleration, all of the stuff that this board is providing. And it's kind of crazy because that's the only negative thing that I have to say about this board. And it's not even a negative thing to say that the board is just so fast. That's not even a negative. That probably just turns some people on. But it's just something that I wanted to mention, and I just think that board companies should just consider, maybe giving the consumer the option, hey, do you want a double kingpin truck or a truck that just has one nut there so that you can maybe get a little bit more stability at the higher speeds. But nevertheless, I think the board is solid. And that's going to just take us right into my final thoughts about this board. And I'm just going to say it. Meepo has just come such a long way. I've been following the brand for a while. Several people in the e-skate community out here in Atlanta have had just various models of the Meepo boards. And just to see them go from where they were 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago to where they are now, producing a product like this that is just at such a high standard from a quality perspective, from just how it looks aesthetically, the performance that it's providing, the electronic speed controller just being so smooth. Just when looking at the board, it just looks like it's worth every penny that you're paying for. And that just feels and looks good. It makes you happy you made the purchase. I'm sure you guys are like me, that there's nothing like that feeling of spending your money on something and you got everything that you paid for. And that's how I feel this particular Meepo board is. They just did a lot of things right. Aesthetically, it looks amazing. Everything just seems really well thought out. The battery system, the electronic speed controller is very smooth. The grip tape that they decided to use, just a lot of the different things that they're doing is just at a high standard the fact that they're giving you the 1-year warranty. Now, if you want to learn more about this particular board, of course, I will have links in the description that you can get to the website, but then also if you utilize those links, it also supports my channel. If you have questions or comments, leave a comment below in the comment section. You guys know I always get to my comment section, and I will do my best to answer any of the questions that you may have about this board. Remember, PEVs allow you to be everywhere, and I will see you at the top because the bottom is too crowded. Peace.